Hello there, and welcome to another Dice Encounters video about role-playing games. Today's topic is 7 signs that you could be a DM. 7 signs that you could be a DM, or that you're ready for DM, Marie. You don't have to have all of these signs. You don't have to have shown all these signs. You could have shown 1 or 2, or you could try and force it. You could try and do more of those signs, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm going to save you watching this video. I'm going to tell you right now that you can go and be a DM right now, and you can grab a starter set, and it's really easy. You should go and do it. Just go do it right now, if you want to. But if you want to watch the video anyway, then please do. And if you don't feel like you could be a DM, then maybe you'll think twice after this. I've DM'd for tens and tens and dozens of players, and it's always been that one thing that at least one of these things has happened to me with the player, and I've been like, you could be. I can see you being a DM. I can see it, and of course people are too scared to do it, and I don't know why, because it's really easy. It's really easy. So here are the 7 signs. Number 1, you organize the sessions. Now, if you remember my video from before, how to start a great campaign, I said the person who is most enthusiastic about playing normally ends up as being the DM, because the DM needs to be the person who is the most enthusiastic, and they need to be doing all the hard work and the heavy lifting. But if you're a player and you're doing all the organization, if you're getting people together, if you're making sure that the group meets up next time, if you're hosting, if you're bringing snacks, if you're lending people dice and books and stuff, then actually you're probably doing more than your DM is, and you should probably wonder why that is. Like, if the DM is not organizing the sessions, then maybe you should arise, young good fellow. Number 2, you've got all the books and you've read them all and you've learned all the rules. Some people just like learning all the rules. Some people, especially if they've come from like a board game background, they want to know all the rules because they think they're integral. A lot of them are not integral, but you can definitely pick up a lot. Like, if a player of mine comes to a session and says, I'm going to use the dodge move, and I'd be like, what? You want to use what? That's not attack or move or run or disengage. Like, what the hell? Dodge is like a pro strat. In case you don't know, the dodge action means that you make any enemies who attack you have disadvantage. So they roll twice and take the lowest. So if you're a paladin, if you're a fighter, if you're a tanky character, you go up to the enemy and you say, I'm going to dodge. And then for that whole turn, you can tank away more damage. Top tip. So yes, if you know all the rules back to front, if you just enjoy reading rules, if you're a rule encyclopedia in your head, not only are you going to be useful to your DM, but you're going to probably be a good DM as well. Number 3, if you want to play more than one character. Obviously DMs play loads of characters, but if you're a player and you've got your character, you're playing your character and you're happy with that character, and then but maybe you're also you're on D&D Beyond, or you've got traditional character sheets, maybe you're making more and more characters, and you keep thinking, I'm really enjoying my human paladin, but actually I kind of want to try a tiefling warlock, or I really want to try something silly like a gnome ranger with a pet goat. So DMs play so many characters all the time, some for months, some for minutes, depending on the players and what you plan. But if you like creating characters and coming up with voices and descriptions of their appearance and their personalities and their backstories and all that kind of stuff, maybe that's something that you can do when you're being a DM. And a little top tip for you here, if you do want to make loads of cool characters, what I do is I just think of any character I've seen in a TV show or a movie, or I read about in a book, and then I just go ahead and describe them like another character. So you've got one character inspiration for the look, one character inspiration for the personality, bosh, and you bash them together, and you've got instant NPC. So you don't actually need to come up with much of a backstory. You can be in your head, okay, this is Jaime Lannister, so I know how he'd react. But you don't let the players know he's Jaime Lannister just because you've described him as being, a little tubby dwarf. And also, if you want to be the evil character, if you want to be the villain, if you want to knock out those Alan Rickman impersonations, then yeah, then the only way you're going to do that is to convince your DM to let you have an evil campaign, or you just be the DM and you get to play evil characters all the time. It's great. Number four fingers. You think about D&D all the bloody time. If you're brushing your teeth, you're thinking about D&D. If you're on the train, you're thinking about your character's goals and their bonds and how to advance the character. If you're in a boring meeting, you're thinking about your character's characteristics and their kind of, oh, maybe I should have a little twitch, or maybe I should, have a little, do that thing with the Jack Sparrow thing with the coin in the fingers. You're thinking about D&D all the time. It's not something that you just turn up every week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever, and you have that 3 to 4 hours of, okay, D&D, and then you close the book, you put the character sheet away, and then that's it until you come back. If you're thinking about it in the interim, then you are sufficiently engaged in the hobby. If you're one of those players who just wants to do D&D in the D&D sessions, like, that's fine. Like, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. For me, if ever I'm a player, I always struggle because I'm missing out on that whole other back end of the hobby. Like, I've got nothing to prep, I've got no books to read or characters to create. I'm literally just thinking about this one character, and it feels so restrictive. And even then, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen to the character, what I can do, what's going to happen next session. So I'm kind of just sat there waiting for the next session to start. And of course, I'm not the DM, so I'm not organising the sessions anyway. So I have no idea when it's going to be. And there was a part of my life when I was running 3 games at once, and I was spending a lot of time in cafes preparing adventures and reading books and watching roleplay shows on YouTube and listening to play podcasts and just getting all this inspiration and all this buzz around me just to play role-playing games. And so if you've got to that point as well where you need to get more and more, then being a DM, and maybe like you can still be a player in this group. Maybe go and start and be a DM in this group. And take the pressure off. Just have a little, just try it, do a little test. Number 5, I call this the this would be cool in D&D sign. If you're like sitting and watching a TV show or reading a book, and you think this would be cool in D&D, like, it'd be great if you were in a position to be able to put that in D&D. So one of the things I liked to do, especially when I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, was because I hadn't done much fantasy role playing before. I needed more like inspiration. I needed more source material. Fantasy novels are a bit. So I would watch TV shows like BBC's Three Musketeers and stuff like that, where it's kind of like an adventure every week and then like an overarching plot. So I would just sit there with my little DM book, and then the episode would start, and they'd be going down a road in France, these musketeers, and then they would see like some peasants trying to hang a guy with a bag over his head, and they're going to hang him on a tree, and the musketeers are like, oh, let's go and investigate that. And then from there, the whole quest, like the guy was a noble or something who'd been exiled to Spain, and he's come back, but he's also a Spanish spy, and they have to go on a mission to rescue someone else with this person who betrays them in the end, and this whole thing. And I pretty much lifted that whole like plot hook, except I turned the peasants into kobolds, which you can do in D&D, and you should. So if you are seeing things through the prism of a D&D adventure, and this may not come to you automatically, especially if you're not a DM yet. But just sit there and watch TV and be like, "Oh, that's a plot hook." Just start thinking about things thinking that things in that structure. Plot hooks and encounters, and so the sixth sign that you are ready to be a DM is that you don't want to take control. If you're thinking about whether you want to be a DM or not, if you could be a DM or not, maybe you say to yourself, "Oh, I can't be a DM because I don't want to be the person who's the center of attention, who's having to come up with everything, come up with a story, don't write a story. I don't want to take control and tell people what they can and can't do." You don't have to do any of that stuff if you don't want to, and you probably shouldn't either. And as I said in my video for starting a great campaign, you just need to know how the world reacts to the players. And trust me, there will be enough players that will have idea of what they want to do, and they'll let you know what you want to do, and you can just say, "Fine, this is how the world reacts. This is how this person reacts. This is how these things react." Try not to think of the DM as someone who's on a stage presenting to an audience who just shuts up. Think about you all being on the stage together and there being no audience, unless you're doing it on YouTube, of course, or Twitch, then there is an audience. But you are all on the stage together. You're all at the same level. Whatever the players say is canon as much as when the DM says something. Just not about the world. If the player says something about their character, what the character does, that's canon. Number 7, and my last tip, is that you're a good listener. You like to listen more than you talk. Maybe somebody's told you you're a good listener. And it's not just about not talking and just sitting there in silence while someone else is talking. It's about taking stuff on board, computing it, and then coming up with new content based on that thing. Think of like a chat show host or a panel moderator. Like, watch those people. They ask a question to someone, they take the answer, and then they build on that and to get another question to someone else. And that's kind of what being a DM is like. It's like, what are you doing, player number 1? Okay, great. So you're going to attack the Sphinx. See, I didn't say goblin this time. You're going to attack the Sphinx. Wait, what's a Sphinx? Okay, different scenario. You're talking to somebody in a tavern, and player 1 starts talking, starts getting aggressive, and then you say, "Oh, player 2, it looks like they're about to get into a fight. What are you doing?" And then they will say that they're going to try and calm the situation down. "Okay, player 3, what are you doing? Are you still standing at the back? How do you react to this?" "Oh, they're just going to sit and drink an ale." Fair enough. Player 4, you spot something else in the corner of your eye happening. What do you do? And notice how it's kind of building on all these things. Like, you say to the player, "This is what's happening. So what do you do?" You don't just say, "What do you do?" in a vacuum. You let them know where the pressure points are, where the points of interest are. And it's harder for newer players who need the guidance of the dungeon master to kind of direct what is happening. But once the players get used to it, they can sit and just talk amongst themselves in character and have little arguments or little conversations or create a plan. And you can just sit there and kind of sit back, and you don't have to do anything. You can sit there like a good moderator and only jump in when you feel necessary. Or if you need to build on something or offer something to facilitate the play. So that's it. That's my 7 signs that you may be ready to be a DM. If you do any of those things, then maybe you should consider being a DM. It really isn't as hard as you may think, and the easiest way to get better is just to go ahead and start. Like, go and buy the starter set, which is £15 on Amazon or whatever it is, wherever you are. It's really not that expensive. It's a really good module. Read it back to front, and at the end of the day, you don't have to do what's in the book. You can just make it up and do what you like. And that's it from me this week. See you next time for another video about role-playing games. Until then.